Hello, 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 and welcome to A Cup of Meg and Joe with me, your host, Meg and Joe. Man. Hello. How are you? How are you today? How are you feeling? What are you doing? What are you up to? Today, for me, is Saturday, but as you're listening to this, it is Monday. And today, for me, it is April 1st, which means it's April Fool's Day. I don't really have any April Fool's jokes up my sleeve, so I'm not even going to try. But I do remember when I was younger and I used to just think of the craziest things to tell my parents, and it honestly would never work. So today, I indeed definitely 1000% have a cup of coffee because I need it to keep me going. Today. I'm very sleepy. I'm very tired. And I was supposed to film and record this days ago, but it was a very busy week. And right now is the only time that I have to do this. So I'm taking the time now. And I need this cup of coffee to keep me going because my partner and I are leaving for the weekend. We're leaving town for the weekend to celebrate his birthday. And yeah, so anyway, let me pull up my notes. So first of all, I just want to say thank you for the incredible feedback that I got from episode 2, because it was honestly a really fun one for me to do, because it was so fun for me to talk about all of that and to share that with all of you. So the feedback that I got from it, being all so supportive and happy and also like relating really hard, it meant a lot to me, and I'm so glad that it resonated with a lot of you. And it makes my heart really warm and fuzzy. Like, if I could give you a visual representation of the emoji of my heart, it would be the pink one with sparkles all over it. That's how I always describe how my heart feels when like I get such incredible love and support from everyone, or from people who just are supportive in your life, and it just means the world to me. So thank you so much for the support. Thank you for listening, and we're only on episode 3, baby. We got so much to talk about. That brings me to today's episode 3, and we have different stuff to talk about. First off, I kind of just wanna talk about life. Like, I just want to catch up with you before we get into the topics of discussion. Like I said, it has been a very busy week, so I wasn't able to film and record this on the day that I usually do. So my schedule is all out of whack. So that's why I think I just feel very like, I don't feel out of whack, but like my brain has been very scattered this week, and I don't really know why. I think I just had a lot happening this week, and I was just like grumpy a lot this week, and I was very tired, so it was very hard for me to like sit down in front of a camera and honestly do this. But I think that, and I don't have to tell you that, but I want to, because I just want to tell you that like me not doing this on the day that I was supposed to, it's okay, right? It's okay that I didn't do that, because I didn't have time to do it, honestly, and then 2, I also just was really tired, and I didn't have the energy to like sit here and do that. And that's totally okay. But then, like, as I said, we're leaving for the weekend, and this is the only crunch like of time that I can do this. And I could have easily just been like, nah, I'm not going to upload episode 3, which, like, yeah, sure, it's fine. But for me, in my head, I was like, no, like, I know that if I don't do episode, and I know that if I don't release an episode this week, it's going to make me sad, because this is something that I enjoy doing so much. I just love sitting here with a cup of any drink, and I just love talking to you. And I don't think it really, where am I going with this? This is me showing up for myself because I know that in the long run, I know that on Monday I'm going to be very happy that I did this instead of just like chalking it up to being like I'm too tired and I'm too grumpy and whatever. Just freaking grab a cup of coffee, you won't be grumpy anymore. No, honestly, like sometimes I'm just like so grumpy in the morning, and I was really grumpy this morning, to be honest, and it's only because I was so hungry and I didn't have coffee, and now that I've gotten both, we're here. We're grooving. We're moving and grooving, and we're here. We're going to do this. And I just wanted to share that with you because I think it's important. But I also want to say that on the other side of that, it is totally okay to just like, if you absolutely do not feel like doing something, like every part in your body is telling you no, then like listen to your body. I always say that like anytime that I wake up late when I didn't intend to, and like my body was just asking for me to like sleep in, I always say that it's just important to listen to your body. And I think that that's very, very important to do for yourself. It's just like, listen to yourself. You know what I mean? But like for me personally, the other huge part of me, there was only like honestly 5% of me that just didn't feel like getting in front of camera and was being so grumpy and bratty. And the other 95% of me was like, I really want to do this and I know that I want to. I just need a cup of coffee. So now that I got my cup of coffee, we're good. Like I said, we're moving and grooving, and we're doing the show. We're doing it. So, we're gonna take a sip of coffee. Hold on. Ow! It never sounds good when I just slurp the coffee in the mic. Wait, hold on. What was I saying earlier that I was like catching up with you on, and then now we're here? Yeah, this week for me was just busy. It was a busy time. This week was just a really busy week and a really gloomy week. What did I do this week? You know, we're going to look back at our calendar and we're going to see what we did this week. Oh, okay. So this week was really busy because I had to take a tour of this place that I'm starting a new job at. So I had to do that, and that was really fun. And then on Wednesday was my partner's birthday, so then we just both took the day off and we went rock climbing. Oh my god, it was so much fun. I gotta say, I don't know how many of you are avid rock climbers, but that shit is tough. That's like a real mental exercise. I mean, a whole body exercise at that, but like I'm very proud of myself for doing that and for like making it to the top. Out of like, I think we did like 5 walls, and I think out of the 5 I completed 3. And it was very challenging, and I'm not afraid of heights. Like I wouldn't say a fact about me is that I'm afraid of heights, but I do think that like when it comes to being all the way up there and you look down, you're like, oh shit, I could easily like fucking hurt myself and all that stuff. But I don't even think that was the challenge, honestly. I think the challenge was just like making it up there. I don't think I was really scared of I guess I was scared of falling in the moments that I felt like I wasn't gonna make it up, because that's when I would like look around and look and see where I could go. But the biggest challenge for me was getting all the way up there and figuring out where to put my foot, where to put my hand. And the biggest tip that they give you is to move your feet before you move your hands. But I feel like you naturally feel like you need to have a grasp before you can move your feet. But anyway, that was really challenging, but it was so much fun. I think it's fun to get over the challenging part and to complete it and to just show yourself that like you can do it. Honestly, in my head that whole time, in moments where I was like, oh my god, I can't do this, on the other side of that, I was trying to tell myself, you could do it, you got this. And it's all about not overthinking, and I am queen overthinker. So in the moments where it got really tough, when I felt like I couldn't make it to the top, I kind of would just like close my eyes and I would tell myself that I got it, I got this, you got this, you got this. And I made it to the top. And sometimes you just have to really push through. And I was really letting my demons fight me in that, telling me that like I couldn't do it. It's funny because I feel like the demons inside my head were kind of like, you can't do it. That sounds so freaking silly, but it's true. And anyway, it was really fun. It was a really fun experience. And oh my gosh, it makes you so tired. We were wiped out after that. Literally had to sit in the car and just like freaking just lay there for a while. But my forearms were sore, and my whole body, mostly my forearms, honestly. And that was the most physical activity I have done since my ribs got pretty fucked up from COVID, about like 3 months ago. So I think that was a good start to like getting into just like being physical. Let's get physical. Yeah. But anyway, yeah, that was Wednesday, and then we just spent the whole day celebrating and doing that, and did cake, made dinner, did all that stuff, and it was so much fun. And then Thursday and Friday, honestly, I don't even remember what I did anymore. I know Thursday I had to teach a lesson, and yesterday I had a doctor's appointment, and then I'm not even gonna say the long story, but the long story is that it just wasn't working out. The appointment just wasn't working out, and that's so vague, but like it just made my brain so tired and annoyed. So then I got home, and then I took a 2-hour nap. And by the time I was up, it was like 3 p.m. And I had to take care of some other things, so I didn't get to film. And then by the time I was I was tired. And anyway, we're here now. That's all that matters, right? Right. Okay, I'm going to take a sip. What are you drinking today? What are you having? How do you like your coffee? Is a good question. I like asking people that question, because I think it shows some character, you know? Like, I love my coffee black, but I also love it with a little bit of oat milk sometimes. And sometimes I love a good hazelnut creamer in there. And sometimes, if you're one of those people, there are those people who have more milk than their coffee, and that's outrageous to me. But you know what? Do you, boo-boo? Do you? I'm not gonna judge you. I just want to know what kind of how do you like your coffee? Sometimes I like it sweet, and sometimes I like it bitter, very bitter. Weird. We like versatility, you know? Anyway, today we are going to talk about staying mentally fit. I came across a note in my notes app that said, "How do you stay mentally fit?" And I honestly don't know where I got that from. I feel like maybe it was from another podcast that I was listening to that I wanted to ask myself, but I never wrote anything under it. But I was like, hey, that's something good to talk about. And for some responses that I've gotten from this pod I've gotten a question about how do you change your mindset when you're in a negative space. So I feel like it kind of ties into that, and I feel like most of the stuff I have been talking about does kind of tie in with your mental and all of that. And hey, I am no life coach at all. I'm just sharing my personal experiences with you and how I've gotten through them and how I'm still going through them, and just my little silly advice on how to overcome some things. So that's what I'm going to share, and by no means am I any professional life coach, but yeah, let's get on with it. So, how do you stay mentally fit? I think that's such a great question. And I wrote some things down on how I personally stay mentally fit, but I think it's a great question to ask yourself, because when I sat down and I asked myself this question and I was writing these down, I really had to think, because you just do the things that you do because you know that they're good for you, right? You do them because you do them and they're what works for you. but it was hard for me to think about them deeply, I think, to like really organize the way I do stay mentally fit, or the way I try to. The first thing that I wrote down under my list of things on how do I stay mentally fit is journaling. And for me personally, I haven't physically journaled in a while because I like to video journal. And I think I talked about that in the first episode, how I kind of just put my phone there and I just record it and I just update myself on what I'm feeling and what I'm going through. And that kind of helps me stay mentally fit because I go through the motions with myself, and it's kind of like a very therapeutic session with just myself. And it's a really good way for me to talk about how I'm feeling, to check in with myself, and just to like, I think about it as like a video diary, because when I used to write like diaries, when I used to write pages in my journal or my diary, I would kind of just talk about what my day consisted of, or what I'm doing and what I'm feeling. And that's kind of what I do in my video journals, except I just don't write it. It's just all like verbal journaling. It's kind of like when you talk to your friends about what's going on, but instead you're just venting to yourself. And honestly, especially if I've had a really, really hard day, or even if I've had a really, really great day, I know that like after I record a video of just talking to myself, I feel so much better. I'm like, yeah, I really needed that. I just really needed to talk about it. And that's one of the ways I think I stay mentally fit, and it's what works for me. And I know some of my friends who I have recommended that to, they also say that it helps them, but it's definitely something weird in the beginning if you like first try it and you're just taking a video of yourself talking, if you're not used to it. But I think as you go along with it, and not as you go along with it, as you go on with it, you kind of just get used to it, and you're just like, hey, what's up? And it's fun to look back, just like it's fun to look back on your journals or your diaries and just see how you're feeling. And it doesn't really matter what place you're in, like what you're feeling in that moment. I kind of just do it whenever I feel like I need to let out a load of thoughts, and that's where it all goes. So another thing that I do to kind of organize my brain, because what do we think staying mentally fit means? You know, and for me, I think that means just keeping your mental in check, and just keeping your brain organized, keeping it healthy, keeping it moving smooth and everything. And I feel like if you feel like you're not mentally fit in that moment, your brain's kind of scattered and your thoughts are everywhere and you feel very messy, right? So a way that I like to organize my brain and my thoughts and my scattered brain is doing to-do lists. And I have like this template that I made on my iPad to make to-do lists for my daily to-dos. Excuse me. That was a really weird burp. And I usually make one every morning. The first thing that I do when I sit on my desk, I just write a to-do list of the things that I have to do. Even if it's something like eating lunch, I write on there, because I like to visually see my day organized. I love planners. I love lists. I love those kinds of things. They feed my soul. So for my brain to just stay good and healthy, to-do lists. Like, I make to-do lists to go to the grocery store. I cannot go in the grocery store if I don't have a to-do list. I will get very overwhelmed very fast, and it will not be a fun thing for me to go grocery shopping. So I always make it a point to make a list. And side note, one thing that I've done recently, that my partner and I have done recently when we went grocery shopping, I found this idea on TikTok, is to make grocery shopping feel less like a chore. You kind of make it like a date, and you put on headphones, like you both put on headphones, but you connect your Spotify, like to do that thing where you share the music together, so you're listening to the same thing at the same time. So we put on our playlist together while we were shopping. Oh my gosh, it was the best thing ever. It honestly made that grocery shopping trip feel like It felt like a movie. It felt like a movie. It felt like we were the two main characters of the movie. We were just doing our grocery shopping. It was a very like romanticized thing, but just picture like two people walking in the grocery store, just dancing, looking like idiots to just the music that's in their own ears. There was music playing in the grocery store, but it wasn't anything like the music we were listening to. And it was so fun. We were just dancing, or if we were on like separate aisles, we would see each other, we would lock eyes when like a great song came on, and we would just like dance. It was so fun. But that was a way that made grocery shopping feel less like a chore. I don't love grocery shopping. That's why I need to make it feel fun. And I think in order to do things that you don't like to do, you need to find a way that you can make it fun. And I think that also falls under staying mentally fit. I mean, granted, we all have to do things that we just have to do that maybe aren't fun, but like there can be some ways you can spice it up. So that's a little suggestion if you want to try it. You can even do it by yourself. You don't need a partner to do that. You could totally try it by yourself and just listen to the lovely music playing in your ears and dance like no one is watching. It was fun. It was really fun. It was one of my highlights that week that happened. Anyway, we're getting sidetracked. I really need a list at the grocery store and then a to-do list for the day. I even write my to-do list kind of look like do yoga, eat breakfast, do this and that, check email, answer emails, eat lunch, eat a snack, take a break. Like sometimes I really need all of it detailed so specifically to just make my brain feel okay. And to kind of just remind myself of the things that I need to do. Because sometimes, honestly, if I don't have a list, I kind of just wing it, right? And then I forget the things that I need to do. And then I get mad later and I get upset because I forgot the things that I need to do. And it's simply because it wasn't on my list. So I'm a sucker for lists. So if you're also a person who likes to organize your brain that way, then we're a match. It's just fun. And then you can make your to-do list fun. I created my to-do list in my iPad to make it fun. I keep saying to make it fun, and I think I'm just saying that because I like making things fun. I also really love Post-its, but they can get really messy, so I just like to keep my to-do list in like one book in my Good Notes app on my iPad. Let's see, what else do I have on this list? I guess less about like physical things like journaling, video journaling, and to-do lists. I think something that also helps me stay mentally fit is nurturing my relationships, nurturing the relationships that matter to me the most in my circle, and spending time with my friends and my closest people, and spending intentional time with them, and making sure that you check in with your friends, and making sure that it's all good and you're just vibing, you know? And because I think sometimes when we're so caught up with our work, or we're so caught up with just the things that we're doing, just so caught up with life, we sometimes forget to nurture those friendships. And that doesn't even have to be hanging out with them all the time. It could be so simple as just texting them, being like, hey, love you, miss you. And I'm the type of person who does that a lot to my friends, just like random check-ins, just saying like, hey, love you, miss you, because it's important to just like send that reminder to that friend. And it's also just you expressing that you miss them. And I think it can also go both ways. And sometimes I think we forget to do that, or at least like sometimes I forget to do that when I'm very busy and I just forget to text people. And then, yeah. And so I just think that that's a good way of nurturing your friendship. So it can go as small as like a little texty text, just being like, miss you, love you, and just catching up through text if you don't have time for a phone call. Or it could be a phone call or a FaceTime. I personally love FaceTimes. So I love getting random FaceTimes for my friends, but I really also love getting random phone calls. Just straight up phone calls, because those are so rare these days. So whenever I do get an actual phone call, I'm like, oh my God, I get really excited because it's different when you just hear the person's voice. Like it's one thing to see the person's face and and hear their voice at the same time, and it's awesome, obviously. But to just hear their voice and to just, I don't know, just be able to walk around and have your headphones in and just listen to their voice. It's kind of like when I talk to my friends, I also feel like I'm listening to a podcast sometimes, because my friends and I tend to send each other audio messages, and it's just fun that way. So that was an example of nurturing your friendships. And then on that topic, as you're nurturing your relationships with your friends, and also spending time with your friends and making that intentional time with each other. Honestly, one of my favorite ways to spend time with people is by running errands. Sometimes you're so busy in your day or they're busy in their day that you don't have time to like get lunch. So it's like, hey, I actually have to run to the post office today and drop off this thing and then get this package and get this thing at the mall and all this stuff. And would you want to come with me? And I love that. Errands are an errand date. Count me in. I actually did that with my cousin the other day because we were trying to find time to spend with each other, and plans were just like going crazy, and the only thing that worked out was being able to run errands with each other, or her coming with me to run errands. And it was such a fun day, and we got to spend time with each other, even though it was running errands, because you're still actually fitting them in and fitting that time in to spend with them. So yeah, why do I keep putting my arm up like this? Okay, so on that topic of nurturing your relationships, I think it's also important to nurture your relationship with yourself. I think we get so caught up in life, obviously, and it's so important to take time for yourself. I know that for me personally, I'm an extrovert, so I love spending time with people, and it fuels me, like I get such a high out of spending time with the people that I care about. But I also think I'm a bit of an ambivert, because I also am very much a homebody, and sometimes I like to just keep to myself. So I think that the middle one, the ambivert, like I'm not an introvert, but I don't think I'm fully an extrovert, but I don't know. Honestly, I feel like I have to take another test and check again. But I'll say right now, I think I'm an ambivert. And just like on the topic of spending time with yourself and nurturing your relationship with yourself, it is so important, because we forget to just like take that time for ourselves to honestly just decompress. Just decompress from work, decompress from life, decompress from your busy schedule. And whether that be playing video games by yourself, whether that be journaling, coloring. Ooh, that is also, I haven't done that in a while, but when I was doing that, oh my gosh, it helped my brain so much. Anytime that I felt like I was going crazy, like my thoughts were just everywhere and I felt overwhelmed, or I was having like a bad day, I have this coloring book that's like just full of flowers. It's called Bloom. I got it on Amazon like 2 years ago. And I bought a bunch of colored pencils, and I would just color the shit out of like 4 pages in like every day for a time that I was doing that. And it really helped me. And I just put on some relaxing music, and I put on these headphones, and it just blocks out the entire world. And it's just me and my coloring book, and it was so fun. I don't know if any of you like to color, but if you haven't and you want to dabble in it, I highly recommend 10 on 10. It's so much fun. And I mean, you can get any coloring book. I even have a Marvel Avengers coloring book, and even that is so much fun. And it's just, it also fuels this like creativity or this inner child in you that you're just coloring, and you're just doing that just to decompress. So I think it's important to take that time for yourself to just chill, or take yourself on a date, go to a coffee shop, take yourself on a date, just spend intentional time with yourself, because I feel like as much as we love to take care of our relationships with our friends and our family, we also need to do that with ourselves. So it all comes full circle, because I feel like if you haven't gotten the time to spend with yourself, you can't give the full energy to the people around you. So whenever I feel like I'm burning out, I know that it's because I haven't tended to myself. So you just have to make sure that you also tend to yourself while tending to the people in your life that you care about. And I know, like, it's not like we can do that all the time and make sure that we're perfect at it. But I'm just saying that, like, it's a good way to keep yourself feeling good. I'm looking at my notes, and one thing that I wrote is remembering to nurture my relationship with myself and making sure I have key alone time to refuel. And I love that word, refuel. And it's just refueling yourself to give you that energy to then be able to give to other people, you know? You know, when you feel just like burnt out after spending so much time with people, it's because you've been giving so much energy to everyone else and not giving energy to yourself. So just like chill, just lay on the couch, just lay on the floor, just veg out and just chill. So the other things that I have on this list are, I wrote giving myself grace and breaks when I feel like I need it the most. And I think that ties in with spending time with yourself. And I mean, I think that also falls into if you are in like your work day and you're just so busy with your schedule, it's important to just like make sure you take a break. Because I know sometimes when I'm so into, like, let's say I'm like working on a song or working on editing a video, I just forget to eat sometimes, and that's so bad. And I get so caught up in doing what I'm doing that I'm like, oh, I don't need to eat because I'm so in it right now. And honestly, sometimes you can't fight that. You're just so in it that you can't leave that flow state. So you're just like, yeah, I'm just not gonna eat and I'm gonna eat later. But even though it's okay to be in your flow state, I think it's also very important to eat. You gotta refuel yourself, you know? But the whole like giving yourself grace and allowing yourself to have breaks is kind of just saying, just take it easy on yourself. And I think one thing that I learned, especially within the past year, is to like be gentle with yourself. I think we are the most hard on ourselves because it's us and we know what we do. Our mind is us. Like, nobody else hears it but us. So of course we are going to be the ones to be super hard on ourselves about everything and anything. And I just think that it's important to be gentle with yourself, especially on hard days when you feel like the world is crumbling on you and all of that. And I know it's easier said than done sometimes, but just kind of doing your best to remind yourself, even just reminding yourself to be gentle with yourself, I think it helps a lot. I think it actually does help a lot. And sometimes just like talking to your friends about how you feel if you don't feel well, or if you don't like feel mentally well, and having those friends to tell you to take it easy, man, you know. And I'm very thankful for those friends that I have that remind me that I just have to take it easy, and I also do my best to do the same for them. And then it's also important to just be able to do that for yourself, because we are the ones who are stuck with ourselves for all of eternity. So do your best to take care of yourself. And that just comes in so many ways. Like, I have this list in front of me right now that could be 10 times longer, but this was the list that I came up with for this episode. But just like the whole thing of just taking care of yourself in general, there are so many ways to take care of yourself. And one of those things that I have on my vision board, I keep coming back to my vision board, but I have like this huge picture of this chart of 50 ways to spend time alone. And I just think I personally really want to spend even more time alone with myself than I already have been. I think recently I have been very much enjoying my time alone and the time that I intentionally spend with myself, because truth be told, I forget that sometimes. I get so caught up in wanting to spend time with other people, with just like my friends or my partner or my family, that like sometimes I'm like, oh wait, what do I want to do? You know? And I don't think that's a bad thing. You just kind of have to like just like check in with yourself. I think that's what it's all about. Okay. And then the last thing that I have on this list is accepting that not everything is in your control, accepting the wrongs in your life, and acting on it with optimistic action. And I was talking about that with my partner this morning on how to stay mentally fit. And that's a really huge one, accepting that not everything is in your control. Because if you constantly think that the world is out to get you, your brain is just gonna crumble, honestly. So we have to learn how to accept things that are just not in our control. Like, for example, tiny thing like traffic or missing the bus, missing the train. Things like that fully are out of your control. I'm someone who used to get so pissed whenever I missed the bus or the train to work. Oh my gosh, it was so bad when I was like in college and I would miss the bus or I would miss the train and it would make me late, and then I would let it take over me. I would let that anger from missing the bus or the train ruin my entire day. And you know how exhausting that is on you? Like, there's no point in staying mad for the rest of the day about missing the train or missing the bus. And that was fully out of your control. What's out of your control is the fact that like you missed it. That's it. There's no like, oh, I can how do I explain this? Like, it's just fully out of your control. Whatever happens, especially with commuting and traffic, whatever you did, whatever happened, already happened. So how you move on from it is how you move on from it. And whether that be in an optimistic way or pessimistic way, you decide. But honestly, acting on it with optimistic action is a way better move than being so mad and grumpy that like you missed it. And like, just, I used to go in with the attitude of like, if I missed the train, or even if I had a really like bad morning and I'm upset about something, I would project it on to everyone around me and I would just be like, fuck everyone, I'm in such a bad mood. And it's not really fun. It's not fun for yourself to like hold on to that mood when you could just easily just let go. Just let go. I know it's hard. I mean, trust me, I'm still a victim of this. Sometimes when I'm grumpy, I let it take over me, or sometimes when I'm in a bad mood, I'm just in a bad mood. And yes, we're all moody, but I'm saying things that happen that are out of your control that you can easily just be like, okay, well, maybe I wasn't supposed to be on that bus. There were a couple of times where like the trains that I have missed, some things have happened on those trains that I hear about later on that I'm like, oh shit, like maybe I wasn't supposed to be on that. And that's kind of how I try to think about it if I do miss something or if something doesn't work out for me, because whatever doesn't work out for you is supposed to not work out for you, and you're supposed to get the other thing later. Or like whatever's not working out for you is actually working out for you, you know? And I think that honestly that's just like a motto for life. But just to keep your brain at peace, it's a good thing to just remind yourself that not everything is in your control, and sometimes we just can't control everything. Like freaking traffic, like that is not in your control. Like if you're 2 hours late to something, like, and it's straight up because of traffic, there's nothing you can do. What are you gonna move traffic? What are you, Bruce Almighty, and you're just gonna move traffic? I wish, but you can't. And I think it's just about how you move forward with it. If you're going to let it ruin your day, then that's on you. And you're going to ruin your day. You're going to ruin people's day because you're going to act like a bitch to everyone. And you're going to act like like it's not going to be fun. But if you move on with it, just accepting that you can't do anything about it. And you're just like, yep, okay, well, I missed it. And That's fine. Not gonna let it ruin my day. You're gonna feel so much lighter. It just makes you feel so heavy with you. Like if you just let if you let that thing that you couldn't control take control over you. You know what I mean? And that goes for everything. That goes for like the minor things like traffic, and then that goes for like the bigger things like, I mean, I don't want to go too far and say like you could apply that to a relationship, but you kind of can, because it's everything that kind of happens in our life. It's all about like how we move forward from it. You know what I mean? Yeah. So that makes sense. I think that made sense. But like accepting that things are not in your control is like a huge thing, because that's gonna do such wonders for your mental if you just learn how to accept things. And acceptance is a really hard thing, honestly. I'm still trying to accept some things in my life that I can't right now, but eventually you get there. And you know, it just takes time. And honestly, I think taking care of your mental also takes a lot of practice. I think taking care of yourself in general is just a straight up practice. It's a self practice on how to make routines work for yourself, on how to make certain actions that you do work for yourself, and what you do for yourself. Like I said before, like in episode 2, you know yourself best. So whatever you do, like whatever actions that you do, you kind of almost know the outcome. So just do the things that you feel like would be good for you in the long run. And then with that said, like accept the wrong, you can accept the wrongs in your life and move forward from that, and just moving forward with like optimistic action. And I know that that's easier said than done for some people, and I think for all of us, but I think when you get to a place of being able to do that, it feels good, you know? So I got a comment on my podcast video on Instagram that says, you should do tips on how to change your mindset and move on. And I think that ties in with all of what I said before. And honestly, how to change your mindset it's a really hard thing to do. Like, I'm not going to sit here and act like, yeah, I got all the answers, because I'm only doing what works for me and what has worked for me. And like I have briefly mentioned in the past 2 episodes, my mindset wasn't always here where I'm at right now. A year ago, I was so depressed, okay? 5 months ago, I was so depressed. Like, you can always try to change your mindset, and it's the mind is such a powerful tool. You are so powerful, and your brain and your mind is so powerful that whatever you do and whatever you say to it, whatever you think in your brain will in turn cause you to feel all of these things, whether that be good or bad. So in a weird way, if you kind of just, I feel like it, all of it goes hand in hand. Like however you act on it, whatever you do, whatever actions you take to change your mindset, because it's one thing to just like think something and be like, oh, I'm going to get a job. I'm going to get a job in a month, right? Let's say that. Let's use that as an example. And you can easily tell yourself that, right? And you're trying to change your mindset on thinking that you're not going to get a job. But what you have to do to coincide with that is you have to act on it. You have to continuously apply for these jobs. You have to continuously make it a point to get that job that you're saying that you're going to get, and do all those interviews and do all the work. So it takes a lot of work to change your mindset on the thing that you kind of want it to think. It's one thing if you just say it. It's another thing when you act on it and you do the things. Because taking action is like the biggest thing that you can do for yourself. And they just go hand in hand. You can say it and you can make that your goal. And then you got to do the work yourself. Whether that be like, that's really hard work. Working on yourself is so hard. But I think as you do it, like time after time, year after year, when there's always like that huge chunk of time that you feel like you're doing your absolute freaking best to just get out of the hole that you're in, like it gets easier as you work on it, but it also gets harder. I think that like, I just think that as you get older and as you go through different life points, everything gets easier, but then it also gets harder. But as I'm saying, to what I'm saying is, changing your mindset is not just being like, oh, I'm going to be okay tomorrow. I'm going to be happy tomorrow, right? You can think that, yes. Or you can say that, and you can definitely feel that. But like, if you're going to still stay in bed all day and just like mope around and kind of feel sorry for yourself, which I'm very much a victim of. I've done it plenty of times. Like we're not all perfect. We're not perfect at all. But like, if you're in a bad mood one day and the next day you don't want to be in that bad mood, then you can't continue to drown in that hole that you're putting yourself in, because you're doing it to yourself if you're like constantly just like staying in there. Now, if you try to make your way out of the hole, and if you do the work to get out of that hole, then that's how you're going to change your mindset. Because I don't think that it's like just this one thing that can get you out of it. There's this thing called the law of attraction, where you can attract things, right? You can attract the things that you want to happen to you. You can attract the energy of wanting to be a writer one day, wanting to write a book one day, and all of that. But it's, like I said, it's one thing to think that, and we can manifest things, right? And manifesting is just thinking and believing that those things are going to happen. But then it's kind of like, you're kind of delusional if you're going to believe those things are going to happen without working towards those things. You got to do what you say you're going to do to get that goal at the end, to like get that pot of gold at the end. You know what I mean? So there's something called the law of attraction and the law of resonance. And the law of attraction, we know as, that's what we use and say when we're trying to manifest something for ourselves. But one thing that I saw recently is something called the law of resonance. The law of resonance and the law of attraction work together, because I think that's kind of like saying, like, the law of attraction is wanting that thing to work out for yourself, and the law of resonance is what you're doing in order to make that thing happen. So I'm going to read this to you. The law of resonance, which is closely interconnected and works in harmony with the law of attraction, is the universal law which determines precisely what it is that you will attract into your life based on the resonance or frequency of the energy that you are projecting. Although many have become aware of the law of attraction recently, many believe that it's the law of attraction that's solely responsible for determining what is drawn into their life experiences in the physical world. Although, to an extent, that's true. The law of attraction is merely the perfectly constructed, immutable, and unwavering law which makes certain that, quote-unquote, something is attracted and created based on individual choices that are made by you. The law of resonance is the law which determines precisely what is attracted based on the resonance or the frequency of energy that is chosen by you through your emotional response system, and as a result of that choice determines the kind and quality of the resonance or frequency projected, which the law of attraction utilizes to determine precisely what is attracted. So, I love that. So I'm going to read one more. The simplest way to put it would be to say that the law of resonance is the law that assures that all energy continuously vibrates at a given frequency, and depending on the vibratory output of this emitted frequency is what the law of attraction uses to determine what additional energies are attracted to one another, which join together, resulting in a transmutation of the energy from the unseen or spiritual realm, producing outcomes in physical form. The law of attraction will attract to you every event, condition, and circumstance experienced in your life, which is determined by the vibrational resonance created based on how you perceive what's going on around you. So, with all of that said, that's kind of like what I said earlier, where you can manifest something, you can believe that that one thing is what you want and what you're going to do, what you're going to achieve, but then that's where the law of resonance comes in, where it's the energy that you're giving out, the work that you're putting out, the things that you're doing, the actions that you're taking to do that said thing that you want to attract, they go hand in hand. So it's not just the law of attraction. And some people, I know that some people, I think I used to think that was it. I used to think that if you just manifested something, like, sure, in a snap of your fingers, it'll happen. No, you have to do the work to do it, obviously. And that's where the law of attraction and the law of resonance come hand in hand. So that was a very long answer to how do you change your mindset. But it's all hard work. It's all self-work. It's all self-digging. You have to just like dig through the shit that like you want in your head and your soul, that you feel, and you have to act on it. If you don't act on it, nothing's going to happen. What are you going to achieve if you're not going to do what you say you're going to do? So you got to work on it. So you have to, in order to attract that thing that you want, you have to emulate that energy that you are trying to get it to attract that thing. Does that make sense? And I love that. I love the law of attraction and I love the law of resonance, and I love that they are just two things that are like a perfect marriage that go hand in hand in how you go about your life and how you go about the things that you want to do. When did I become this like person who's just talking about how to achieve the things that you want in your life? I don't know, but that's not I'm not a professional. I'm just doing the things that I do that works for me. So we're going to end that here. Those were all I had to say. And those, especially the law of attraction and the law of resonance, is something that I think if you're going to take anything away from this, go with that and read about it more. The website that I was reading that off of is called abundanceandhappiness.com. Sounds kind of funny, but what I read on it is honestly really informational and really good about what the law of attraction and law of resonance is. And I'm very much a believer in the universe and that the universe works in mysterious ways. But like, you can't solely believe that the universe will give you what you want. You have to also work with the universe. You know what I mean? And yeah, so I'm going to end that here. Also, I just want to talk really quickly about, I'm wearing my glasses today, and I am a person who wears contacts every single day. And really quickly before I end this, I kind of just want to ask who here has 20/20 vision. And if you do, I am very mad at you. I'm very envious of you because it is hard out here to not be able to see, okay? And my prescription is like a negative 5.5, I think, or negative 5.75. And I have run out of my daily contacts, so I'm now stuck with my glasses, which is not a bad thing, but my glasses are kind of messed up. My lens are just all like dirty, like permanently dirty, and I can't get the scratches out. It just makes it hard to wear them because I get very annoyed because it's not clear, even though it's supposed to be. And then they fall off my face so easily. So, yeah, but I'm getting used to myself wearing glasses. This is like the third day I'm wearing my glasses and not just my contacts. I wear my glasses, obviously, like when I'm just home and going to sleep and not going out, but I like to wear my contacts because, yeah, but anyway, I'm getting off the topic. I just want to say that if you don't realize how hard it is not to be able to see, just imagine being in the shower and not being able to see what you're doing and if you're grabbing the shampoo or if you're grabbing the conditioner. That's how I feel. So I just wanted to share that. But we're getting used to the glasses. We're gonna roll with it. But anyway, I'm going to end that here. Talked a lot about the mind again. I like talking about the mind. The brain is a very powerful thing. So what kind of ways do you stay mentally fit? That's a really great question to check in with yourself on how you do the things. And I would love your feedback on that, because everybody does things that work for them. Like, some people don't make to-do lists because they don't need that. But like for me, I need that for my brain to stay in check, for me to feel mentally okay. I swear to you, I feel chaotic if I go into a grocery store without a list. It just drives me insane. So what do you do to stay mentally fit? And do you believe in the law of attraction or the law of resonance? Do you not believe in any of those? Or do you like that? Do you like that idea? I love that so much, and I think it just makes a lot of sense, and you can apply that to honestly anything in your life. And I think that's a good way to change your mindset if you are trying to like work on changing your mindset. It's a hard thing to do though, so like give yourself grace when you're trying to get out of a negative space in your mind. It's really, really hard, because our mind is so powerful that we can just get stuck there, and then we get comfortable being there, so then it's hard to get out of that negative space. But just like trust yourself, trust the process. It's all a process. Like, we are all a work in process, and we get better every day, and then we'll go through it. Life is a freaking emotional roller coaster, but it's fun. I'm here for the ride. And I'm saying that now, right? And in a year from now, who knows what I'm gonna be thinking and feeling and all of that, because I know that a year ago today I was not doing so great. Okay, so I did a lot to change my mindset, and to get where I am now. I put in that work so to get here, which was not easy at all. So like doing the work is not really easy, but it's worth it. It's really worth it. But anyway, I'm gonna end that here. I hope you enjoyed today. I don't mean to be a life coach and try to talk about all these things on like how to do the things in your life and how to change your brain and your mindset, but it's been very prominent in my life recently, and it is what you asked for. So I'm giving what you asked for. But let me know what you would like me to discuss next. It doesn't have to be about the mind. It could be silly things. You know, we could talk about the silliest of silly things. There is a thing that you could pull up if you're listening to this on Spotify of where you can reply to what you thought of this episode. So if you want to also comment there what you want me to discuss next, please do. And I'd be very happy to discuss anything. I'm an open book. So let's talk. All right. Thank you so much for listening to A Cup of Joe with Meg and Joe. What were you drinking today? Maybe next week I won't have coffee. I was thinking initially I was going to have a seltzer, a little LaCroix while I was doing this, but I really needed some coffee. With that said, I hope you have a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful Monday, or whatever day you're listening to this. And I hope something resonated with you in this discussion that we had today. And it was very lovely to catch up with you, and I'm looking forward to continuing the conversation again. So I will talk to you later, and have a great day. Bye. Thank you for listening.